What's going on, everybody? It is episode 45 of the Download Queue. We are coming at you. It is November 24th. We are a few days away from the holidays officially kicking on. My Lions won another game today. Kyle, how are you doing on your end?
Doing good, doing good. Was playing some Call of Duty real quick before this. Um, you know what? If the Raiders win, cool. If they lose, cool. It's that we're at that point already. So we're just along for the ride.
You can get that Daniel Jones over there now.
I I could see them.
Would it
Just
help?
if I don't think Minshew in this game, like their quarterback, has done anything so far that necessitates a drastic change at this moment. So I doubt it, but whatever. Who cares? We're drafting a quarterback next season, baby.
It's
But
at the
yeah.
point, yeah, people know where they're kind of sitting. People know if their seasons are done already.
Oh yeah, we're you're 2-8. You know you're not. Even if you run the table, like, come on. Outside of a crazy miracle season of like winning out and making the playoffs and having a run, like, come on, that's not happening. You're just gonna hurt yourself long term if you win. So it's a weird thing. You'll never know if teams actually tank or not.
A couple
But
years ago it was the Lions, and then they got me, and everything is coming up.
I'm happy for
I'm
you.
telling you, for a crisp $5, I'll go for the Raiders next year, and I'll just work my magic over there.
But don't jump. No,
No,
I don't want you selling your allegiance for $5.
crisp $5.
That's true. That's different, I guess.
As mentioned, it's coming up on Thanksgiving. Everything's super slow right now in the industry, thankfully, for better or for worse. This episode, we got a couple things, couple news things. Well, one news thing, I guess. Couple games we've been playing to update on. And Game of the Year nominations officially are up. Not going to go through a whole in depth like we did last year because that got to be too much, but a couple things to go over, what we think in certain spots will happen. But I want to start with some speculation, Kyle. Have you seen the new God of War stuff going online right now?
I've seen nothing of it. I
Ooh,
have no idea what you're referencing.
our boy on Twitter today, Christopher Judge, in a live stream, it looked like it was a Facebook live stream or an Instagram thing, said that there are a lot of announcements coming in the next 2 weeks. And keep your ears
Yep.
peeled. There's been
Yep.
there's been talks about the full remasters of the old games, which I honestly I I could see it happening, but I don't see it really doing anything, I guess. Like those are very much a product of their time type games and so far pulled away from what God of War is now. That cool for nostalgia factor I could see, but like any other new people that have come in, I don't see those hitting in any way for newer fans to the series.
No, it's such a drastically different character as well, but it would be cool, I guess. it's I mean, it's just what PlayStation doing a remaster now. Like, all right, cool.
Shocker.
Like that's fine. It'd be interesting to see if it's like something with Atreus, which was hinted at at the end of Ragnarok pretty heavily, and then with the events of Valhalla in the DLC, kind of putting a bow on Kratos and setting him off on a new path. Like it kind of really did wrap up his story with those other games as well. That kind of Ragnarok and 2018 God of War told that story of Kratos dealing with everything is over. So it'd be interesting to see if it is the rumored, the pretty likely Atreus focused sequel. Maybe something like a Miles Morales size as well. It
Ooh.
doesn't need to be the full game. We see that kind of work for PlayStation, and yeah, maybe that's what we get out of this. But I hope we get an announcement, at least a trailer akin to what the other ones were like. What do you expect out of this? Do you? I mean, he said there's announcements, but what
Yeah.
doesn't oh no, PlayStation has a show and an episode in Secret Level, not God of War. I was like, God of War has an episode. No, it's PlayStation, so I doubt they're tied together.
Yeah. I mean, I most likely probably the remasters. It's interesting though because Chris Judge coming for that, like he didn't do the original voice. So unless they are doing almost like the Final Fantasy route, or hey, this is a remaster, but we're kind of reworking the story in a way, like doing a new take or twist on it, I could see. I like the Miles Morales size Atreus sequel. That sounds awesome. Like I didn't even think of that in my head. But it's weird to me that he specifically says 2 weeks, and that puts it outside of the Game Awards range. Like that's this week and next week. That's before Game Awards happen. So why would they, if it is something on that level, do a separate announcement before then? Or if his timing's just weird, or if they do have some sort of thing happening in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah. I guess the 10th was when the show comes out. That's not really
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks either, but I guess it's right outside of 2 weeks. I mean, that's an easy thing to misspeak on, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting to, like, if there's a showcase, a state of play, a Nintendo Direct, something that he's a part of that he knows about in whatever regard. Like maybe something does drop before the Game Awards.
That'd be cool.
Maybe people don't want to pay their prices, Jeff's prices for a 30-second commercial. They just like, we'll just release it before a couple days.
Yeah, save a couple $100,000. The God of War though, it's
Yeah.
been because last year was the free DLC announcement was the Game Awards, right? I forget
Hmm.
the whatever that
So they've
was.
been there.
Yeah, they've
So it
shown up.
wouldn't be that out of the realm of possibility for them to be there in some way. Yeah, I hope it's some trailer at the very least. We'll see what it is. Do you think what pantheon do you think they're going to if they don't keep it with the Norse and Greek?
Norse. I don't know. Like Egypt's the one that everyone wants, obviously, right?
Yeah.
That's what everyone goes to. Anything other than that, I almost feel would be too much. Like if we just up and Sun put Atreus at this point, if he is the main character in like Japanese folklore, I feel like that would be too striking.
That'd be cool as hell
It
though.
would be cool, but like I feel like that would be almost too much and like an ease in thing. I would
Yeah.
I would be I like the Atreus thing though, because that kind of gives them a leeway of hey, just had the pro come out, didn't have anything for it specifically, but we have God of War Atreus coming early spring, which is pretty much what they did with PS5. Where hey, we don't have a lot right now, but we have Miles Morales out now to kind of hold you over, which I'm all for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, I think that's honestly the likely option is a smaller scope title that is a sequel that isn't focused directly on Kratos, but we'll see. I think Egypt, yeah, is probably the most likely. If they switch it up, they probably have to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when you asked me that in my head, I was like quickly running through the pantheons in Smite, and like all these are just so goofy. Like, oh, we're taking him to Maui and like Pacific Islanders type stuff. Like,
It would be cool though for them to explore a lesser known culture
yeah,
through that lens, right? To be able to explore that and just kind of tell stories that the wide breadth of people don't know, but are still very interesting and are of the same level as stuff that's already been adapted.
kind of like South
Yeah.
Midnight's doing. Can't wait.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for that. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, something at the Game Awards. I expect.
I'll take an announcement early. Take an announcement early though. Before we move on to the Game Awards, couple new games out. You want to start? Or you want me to start? We got Stalker. We got Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, I'll talk about Flight Sim real quick,
Flight
just
Sim.
because I didn't get to play a ton of it. I didn't drop that much time into it, about an hour to 2 hours. But the day it came out, they had a ton of server issues, which is, I think, a cool sign, but it's also disappointing. But who would have thought that Flight Simulator would have server issues because so many people were trying to play the game, right? And uh, that's kind of cool in 2024 to have a flight sim do that, thanks to Game Pass in part. Of course, though, that's also the problem with games with Flight Sim specifically being like on the cloud. Like everything is, the majority of stuff is just streamed through the cloud now. So when you have that many, when you have that much more bandwidth required for each user to play, like it makes sense that you're gonna have issues. So that's unfortunate, but they seem to have figured it out in the next. It took about a day or two for them to really iron out those issues, and then after that, I hopped in, and it was Flight Sim itself is the sim is the same, right? It's pretty much the same game. The Earth does look a little more detailed in a lot of ways. One of the areas I went to where I used to live and work, the trees weren't pine trees. They were like not the right tree at all. But other than that, like it's a lot more dense. The trees look better. They're using assets from what was it, Zoo Tycoon, I think, or one of the zoo games. They were using trees from that and some of the animals from some of that stuff to kind of help flesh out the world so it looks a little crisper and it does look like that. It's not accurate all across the board fully though. Um, but with the most excited part, I was let me rephrase that. The part I was most excited about within this 2024 update for Flight Simulator was the career mode, which added kind of a direction to go in to learn how to fly these planes and then like gain XP and level up and shit. To me, that's awesome. I need that reason before. I don't want to fly. I found it hard to fly from point A to point Z and call it a day, or to do some of the challenges. I was like, all right, like land the plane well, cool, but like, why? Like, why? I need a little more than that. So I always liked it. I liked playing Flight Simulator, but I needed more of a reason. And so far, this has provided me that. The It starts with just a tutorial. Basically, you need to do. One, you need to do you need to do a flight test to get your commercial license first, and there's a whole slew of tutorials to go through that are pretty fast paced. The loading between each level is slow, unfortunately, but like once you're in it, it's pretty straightforward. But there's so many missions, and then loading from each one is kind of a pain. uh, but you do those missions, and that teaches you how to fly a plane, how to get your plane out off the ground, how to turn the right flaps on, and all that stuff, which you can turn on all the assists and they'll walk you through it every time anyways, but it's still cool to learn it, I guess, and have them walk you through in that regard. um but once you get that license, it then would open up and you would have options to go fly like just a glider, or fly a passenger jet, or fly a helicopter to go drop off cargo. And then it branches out even further, then do firefighting, like aerial firefighting and dropping water and picking up cargo and dropping it off out on an oil rig and such. So I haven't dove into that, unfortunately. I still haven't even got my commercials license yet, unfortunately, but you could see it all there. It's all locked out still. But so far I just am already I'm the pathway into the game is better so far. Uh, so that's what I'm happy with so far. I've liked that. Um, I want to play more so I can have a little more to talk about. But it's the camp, not the it's not a campaign either. But it's like this career mode that is really really fascinating to me, and again gives you reasons to try out different planes and helicopters. Because once they added the jet from Top Gun, why am I going to fly anything else?
It's the obvious choice.
I'm just gonna go. I want to go super fast, right? Or I'm gonna fly a blimp, and it's just like kind of funny to fly a blimp in through the suburbs and shit. But so yeah, so like I said, didn't play a ton of it. I'm planning on playing more of it though, getting through and doing a little job. I do like on stream right now, all the different jobs in the areas that you can go work. Apparently, like it opens up and the whole world has things to do. And then when you start off your campaign as a pilot, you choose kind of what airport you want to be your hub, and then you'll get jobs and stuff from around that area, and then I think you can move it from there. But they base it on whatever location you want it to be, so it could be local in your town, or it could be oh, I want to fly in Seattle, I love Seattle, so you could base your career out of Seattle and then go from there. So cool stuff. So far I'm very intrigued, and I think it's so far better than what it was before.
with the career mode stuff, are you like actively unlocking other planes or parts, or is that purely just like giving you kind of objectives to do while you're flying?
I didn't get that far to see
Okay.
if that's what they were doing. I'm pretty sure what it would be is like each job would have a type of plane that you would go in, because based on kind of what the footage you were showing on stream as well, it seemed like the search and rescue flight had a helicopter assigned to it. So yeah, but I imagine it's just getting like the proper quote licenses, the certifications within the game quote to move up to different level jobs. So you would just keep going. That's what it looks like that way. It starts like with the option in the middle, a circle to get your commercial license, and then it kind of webs out like a skill tree with the different options of what to fly and what missions to take on.
Cool. Yeah, it sucks the launch of this has been rough, but I mean, I was surprised honestly because in my head, I guess Microsoft Flight Sim has always been like obviously a super niche thing. Obviously, the last
Yeah.
iteration got 10 out of 10. Like review score is good, but to have that much of a player influx to cause those issues, cool. I'd rather have that than apparent problems with the next game we'll talk about. But
Yeah. Yeah, it was super interesting, right? I saw it not I saw the servers have issues when it dropped that morning, and it was like, of course, not surprised, but they lasted all day, and people still had some issues the next day as well. So it's like that's crazy, you know. But I hopped in, and I wouldn't have, would not have played Flight Simulator at all in my life without Game Pass so far. Like I just wouldn't have. So that's the cool benefit of it. But yeah, I bet a ton of people hopped in who just wanted to try it out because why not?
did you download it or are you doing the cloud streaming?
So yeah, that's what it's interesting in 2024. I didn't in the before you got this option of what you wanted to download and stream and whatnot, and I would just download everything that I wanted. They broke it up by regions, so like, all right, I'm not flying in Eurasia, I'm not flying in Europe, I'm not flying in Africa right now, so I'm not going to download those packs so they're higher resolution. You could still fly in them; they just don't look as pretty. The cities aren't as accurate. They might just be, photo mapped in, because that's all it is, just being maps. So they see everything. It's just not like 3D printed. That's not the right word. They're just not 3D rendered and
Yeah.
whatnot. But that's how I would do it before. I didn't get any option to manage my files, so I don't know. I do know they switched up how they do the game. They don't want it to be a 2 terabyte monster on console and on PCs or anything. So I know they in previews and whatnot, and I'm paraphrasing, so I hope I don't get it too wrong. But I believe they were explaining that they are streaming in more of the assets to you, so it's not a huge file download and whatnot. So yeah, so I don't know fully to your question.
Yeah, it's just interesting because that's if I ever did jump into this, it would probably be through cloud streaming. I don't know if I would take up hard drive space for it because that's very much how I've been doing Forza Motorsport recently. I've been slowly kind of getting back into that. Do cloud streaming usually keeps up for one or two races before my stuff fails, but
Yeah,
obviously not optimal. But it's an option, which is great, especially because everything's an
yeah,
Xbox.
everything is an Xbox. I love it.
Well, while you were flying the skies this week, I
Woo.
was checking out good old Chernobyl. Stalker 2 is finally out, finally here. Mixed reviews online. Please stop me if you have questions. 'Cause I'm gonna be rambling. Um, I've seen a
I
little.
will say I have to turn my camera off real quick, and then I'll be back.
You
So
could,
sorry,
uh,
but keep on me listening.
yeah. So Stalker 2 is finally here. Obviously, see it. GSE Game World Ukraine dealing with their real world war and all the shit going on over there. Finally dropped after years of delays. Mixed reviews. See a lot of people online bring up graphic issues, pop-ins, stuttering, jittering, stuff not loading properly. I've probably gotten about 4 hours in myself right now. personally have not experienced any of those issues, so everything I talk about, I pretty much had with a clear view, thankfully. Uh, I hate to say it's not a game for me. I've I've given it the good old college try. It is a very survivalistic game. It is a very hardcore type of experience that I feel would get a huge audience with YouTubers almost. People who specifically make content for this, make YouTube videos for this, dive into the lore of this. But just a casual experience dropping in, it is very unforgiving. It expects you to kind of understand the controls, how everything works, how gunplay works, how inventory management works from the get go. And honestly, it threw me off. I made it through the tutorial, did the first little bit again, 4 hours. In my 4 hours, I think I racked up double digit deaths, close to the 20s already. Uh, the second enemy I ran into turns invisible and randomly
Mm.
walks around, and you can kind of see footprints as he leaves, but he's just comes up from you up behind every time, no matter what. So even if you are kind of watching where he goes, it's just always a cheap shot from behind. And I got stuck there for probably half hour. Um, the gunplay when you are shooting and fighting, whether it's creatures or other people in the zone with you, um, they need to work on hit registration. A lot of the times, there's no real reticle or a burst or a sound effect to show you hit your shots. So you're just kind of hopefully in your mind counting that bullets are hitting correctly how they should, which isn't the best feeling, especially when it is very, hey, you need to gather bullets, you need to try and survive, hold down a location to kind of get the upper hand on encounters. So it almost feels like the game's working against you in that point. But the story of it, the setting of it is awesome. You're going into the zone in Chernobyl. This is a alternate reality where I believe like the blast happened twice and it caused a bunch of like otherworldly fissures and stuff to happen and mystical, I'm spacing on the word for it, but like fallouty type mutations, and people are going into the zone trying to find relics for take it back for, I believe like it's some energy or power thing that you're trying to bring stuff back from. So you
Mm.
go in with an extractor, set it up in locations, kind of take over an area, drain it of its energy, get out. Like it's pieces are there. It's just very loosely tied together, and it's a lot of open stretches of just kind of emptiness. A lot of stretches of, hey, here's a field that takes 2-3 minutes to walk across with not a lot going on, which sucks in a thing that is otherwise survival based. Like you have a food meter, you have a hydration meter, you need to eat, keep up water resources. But when it's just open zones with nothing else really adding on to that pressure, it kind of just feels like you're checking boxes as you go through until you do find a new encounter. It's just, I don't know. I had a lot. Going in, I had some expectations. I got kind of hyped with the documentary and stuff. Like, hey, I want this to succeed. I want to see this do well, which I think it's over 1 million unit sales already. So awesome. Just for a casual experience, I feel most people, if you are on Xbox, if you are on Game Pass, this probably would be a jump in, check out for a bit, and jump out. I don't see, unless you plan on dedicating a lot of time to sticking with it through the long run. But not every game's for everybody. I checked it out, wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, once the reviews dropped, I was like, "Oh, this does not sound like it's for me." And watching some gameplay, yeah, it just I don't know. There's something about it, and yeah, it's unfortunate, but some people are vibing with it, which is good. So
Yeah, like I said, I could see this getting a YouTube following. I could see it being kind of like a Rust or how those more militaristic um, battle royales. people kind of role play in those, and like Escape from Tarkov's huge. I could see that fitting in that kind of wheelhouse as a single player side of things.
Okay.
Um, I'm curious to see what it does because obviously this will eventually hit PlayStation. I'm curious to see how well this is taken over there without the Game Pass element. I'm curious to see if they keep up with it, if this has some sort of update window plan for the future, if it has something to keep adding enemies, materials, weapons, parts of the zone, whatever, if this is just a hey, this is it, this is what we're doing, we'll patch it up for you type of thing. Because I could see it having a future. It's just I don't know if it needs more time, if they needed to whatever. Which brings in another interesting discussion I think that could be had of with the background of this game and their restrictions and development, whatever. If you almost have to review it in a different way, but when do you start giving that kind of special treatment to things? Like, it's bad just from the history around it. It's bad because of what they had to deal with. And that's sadly what people will look at now. You got the reviews talking before the day one patch that came out, and that's what a lot of people will see first. And that's what people will go off to begin with. So it's in a weird, weird place. So we'll see.
Sorry, I was switching to mod mode to deal with that chat as well.
Get out of
And then
here,
I was like, oh no, he
bots.
stopped talking. um, yeah, yeah, we'll see. I'll probably hop in at some point, but this is less likely now. Indiana Jones is around the corner, and then more games will be out, so we'll see.
Yeah, just sucks. Like it's especially because I don't want this to be like, hey, this didn't succeed. Like after all they've gone through the studio's closing type of situation, which is how things have been this year. But million units already. Still has another platform later on. Best of best of luck. Best wishes to the team going forward. Glad it's finally out.
Yeah, I bet they are too.
Other than that, this week, quickly touch on before we head into the main topic here. I did finally finish Dragon Age. You got to catch up instead of prestiging on Call of Duty, my friend, because I need to talk spoilers. I
Yes.
not doing a full review on this. I did my little thing on Twitter where I'm keeping track of everything I've done this year. Ended off at a 7 out of 10 on it. Um, Super solid game all the way around. I said in my thing, it is a fantastic Western RPG as long as you're not expecting a Dragon Age RPG, which I think is the best way to kind of describe it. Um, if you are expecting that super deep, old BioWare Mass Effect type gameplay and story and decisions and how they used to do things, you're not going to find that here, which I know a lot of old fans will be upset about. But as far as just being take the Dragon Age name off it, call it Veilguard, it's solid. I had a great time. I obviously sunk a ton of time this past week to catch up and get it knocked out. Um, I did find myself skipping through dialogue with characters I didn't really care for and kind of keeping my main party close and focusing on their storylines, which helps speed things up. And I don't really feel like I missed out on a lot. I got the endings with people I wanted in my group. My girl Tosh met her mom, had dinner. It was weird. We're dating. It's a thing. Uh,
Nice. Towish.
Tosh. Yeah, it was solid. It's super pretty. I wish the combat was a little more fleshed out, especially at endgame, but that's me playing as a mage, which I'm curious to see when you play through, how, when you finish, if you had any different experiences, because for mage, it was very much X or square, 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 triangle combos nonstop over and over and over again and just spamming abilities as they came up. There wasn't a whole lot of kind of decision making and how you should approach different battles, which I would have liked more of. But solid RPG. I feel it's a great stepping stone for people who are interested in the genre who haven't had time before. Like the actual mechanics, RPG mechanics within, are top level enough that it keeps people who have experience interested, but is easy to understand for new people coming into the genre. So I feel overall it's a great starting point for RPGs, just not a good Dragon Age game.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm tracking in a 7 and 8 out of 10. If I'm putting a number on it at this moment, I think that at least it tells you where you're at interest wise so far. So that's where I'm tracking on it, but I still got a ways to go, I think. At least a chunk. I got a chunk to go.
Yeah, chunk. You're, I'd say, probably 2 more sessions with it. It's very clear when you get to end game, it brings up a thing. Hey, this is.
Oh yeah, no, I expected that. Yeah, I'm like, I feel like it's close, right? Like the way certain companion quests have wrapped up, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Like things are starting to come together. So it's close. It just depends on how much I keep doing of the side stuff, which so far I've done almost all of it.
Mhm.
So that it has extended my playtime definitely. So what did you clock in overall time wise?
Oh, geez, I'd have to pull up on the PlayStation app here. I can tell you. Um,
Okay. Yeah,
48
and you've also
hours.
had a ton of crashes
For,
on PlayStation.
yeah, 48 hours on the app. I would say probably 4 of that's idling, so 42, 41. Yeah, a lot of crashes. I wish I downloaded the videos because I recorded every one that happened. The first time we talked, I had the 2 crashes right at the start, which were like hard crashes. It brought up a thing to send a report into PlayStation, whatever. Um, one of the final dragons I was fighting, I had a soft crash where it didn't close me out, but everything just became idle. I couldn't move. I had a couple other battles where in the middle of an action things would just freeze. One of the
Hmm.
times after 3-4 minutes it fixed itself and started like sped up to catch up with what was going on. The other one never did, so I had to close out and restart again. So yeah, just weird because it's I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, and it's just my luck with stuff, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, the PlayStation thing
Yeah.
has not been the best for me.
Yeah, I don't think I've had any crashes. If I did, I don't remember it with Dragon Age on Xbox. So,
I
but yeah,
want to.
I'm excited to. Right, go
No,
for it.
I was just say I want to come back when you finish because there are some things when I did finish. I almost got the platinum for it. Like that's I did everything I could, but I went back and I was
Oh
looking
wow.
at trophies, and I think I'm missing 6, and every one of them seems to be decision based on party members you use throughout and what they were able to do and how when you even when you think their storyline's finished, more stuff comes up at like the end battle.
Oh
So
yeah.
a lot of it, I wanted to see how that kind of plays out for you and other people because there were things I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
I spent a ton of time with so and so, but they didn't get to do what they wanted to do or didn't get to be a part of this thing. Or I'm curious where those branching paths kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, that it will be interesting to compare it once I get there for sure. We'll have to do like a little spoiler cast segment.
Yes. Dragon Age,
Yeah,
good game.
hopefully next week.
Like I said, you don't got much, so yeah, we should be good to go with that.
Yeah, but there is another game I actually got deep into this week because of the Game Awards. So we'll talk about it when it comes to that
Ooh,
category. Little tease for you.
little tease. Let's jump into that. Like I said, I don't want to do full deep dive like we did last year. Kind of just quickly run through thoughts on certain things. A lot of controversy this year. A lot of people online being upset because it's the internet. That's what we do here. Um, where do you want to start? Let's save game of the year for last. Are there any of these you want to put a light on first of all?
Yeah, I think if we just go from like bottom up, if you're on the website, Game of the Year being the first, but being the last one we'll go over.
Okay.
We like quickly go through and just like we could talk most anticipated game real quick. For me, we got Grand Theft Auto next year, Ghost of Yote next year. Those are the top two. For me, I personally went with Grand Theft Auto 6. Just what is it post GTA Online? It's like almost what? We're almost a decade old over?
Mm-hmm.
Like come on, like what is this game going to be? Is it just GTA 5 but bigger, or is it just something that is it all meshed together as a single player game happening in the online world at the same time? So you could be doing people could be doing both simultaneously. It's all one living thing. Who knows, man? That is what I'm most interested in is what it is. We know what Ghosts of Yote is gonna be. We know there's gonna be some. It's gonna be beautiful. There's gonna be some cool stuff. We don't know what Death Stranding is gonna be, but we kind of know because we don't
I'm
know, right?
surprised Death
Like
Stranding's here on this, honestly. Out of everything coming out
it's
next
next
year,
year.
this was like I'm thinking like Doom could be on here, Avowed could have been on here, but then I was like, oh, Kojima, of course.
Nah, Kojima. Yeah, what is that game, anyways? But yeah, for me, it's Grand Theft Auto 6. I am, yeah, just like I said, what is that game from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I
Because they can do anything.
I did Yote on this just because I've skipped GTA 5. Like my interest is so little that I want to jump into 6 when it comes out, but I'm not like anxiously waiting for it to be like, okay, it's here type thing.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm waiting.
Adaptation, you
But
got
yeah,
anything?
I won't be watching Arcane probably until Netflix goes or WWE goes to Netflix. So
Oh,
that will start me buying Netflix again. So at that point, I'll dive into that part two. So can't talk about season two, but damn, season one's great. So I know season two gonna be great.
it's good. I'm
I went Fallout here just because, oh man, what a great show! Fallout, so damn good. And I've heard nothing about the last three shows: Knuckles, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and Tomb Raider. I've heard nothing. So
Yeah,
cool.
like a Dragon's on obviously on my list, but just with everything else, other shows to watch, I want to get to it at some point. Knuckles could care less. Tomb Raider, I forgot existed. Um, I went Fallout with this as well, just because I haven't. Which even at the time this came out, Arcane wasn't done yet because they released season 2 in kind of 3 parts, 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah, which it makes sense though. It's out now though.
Yeah, now it is, but it's still good.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited for what it's doing with the game too. Quick side tangent. They're doing a lot of reworks on League for the show
that's good.
next year
Yeah,
that like if you've ever seen League, it's the same map every time. Same thing. There's been leaks now though that they're kind of doing skins for the maps and doing them on a yearly basis with one of
for
them.
$500.
Well, no, not even
Kidding.
that. Like the game will be
You can
updated.
have green
The game will
trees.
be updated and match like themes within lore. So like seasonal
Yeah,
changes. Excited.
that's a better one, of course. That's better. I only kid with the. It's
We
going to be a
fired the
$200
$500
skin where the
guy.
wind blows. Yeah, we'll see.
Uh, Multiplayer, Warhammer, Tekken, Mario Party, Helldivers 2, Black Ops 6. I put Black Ops 6 on here. I feel like Helldivers 2 has a chance. If the fall off from it hasn't been too hard. I know PlayStation's empty, but
I
PC
could
is keeping it up.
Yeah, I could see Helldivers running the table on what it's nominated for because it's not nominated for a ton. I think it's two or three things. So I could see it winning all the categories it's in because it was something new. It really did capture the attention for a couple, at least 1 or 2 months solidly there. So uh, it's between that and Call of Duty. But the next one I want to talk about is Best Simmons strategy game because I don't.
We don't do sports.
Oh, the sports one's easy. You know, it's one of the ones with people on it. uh, yeah, it's one of those. Whatever has a person. Anyways, best sim strategy. This is so Age of Mythology did not play. Frostpunk 2 loved it. Very hard, but it kept my attention more than the first one. Way more engaging. The decisions, the way you have to build out of the settlement, as opposed to the first one being locked into a ring. I liked, even though it still kept like the visual of it being that ring from the first one. It just very, very good game. Give it a shot if you're interested in it. It's very, very good. I think they're working on a console edition because it's only on PC Game Pass. I hope I'm not just making that up. But, anyways, do you want to talk about Kanitsugami?
I hope it wins. I think this is
Is that your vote out
that
of
was
all
my
these?
vote out of all these. Mostly, I mean, it's the only one I played out of the five.
That's
But
fair.
it's honestly, I've started again. I was working on like my top 10 stuff for the site and just in general. It's so criminally underrated. And something came out this week where they straight up said like sales didn't meet expectations. It's so unique of mixing the strategy, tower defense stuff with action combat, with base building. Like it does so many things and executes them all super well. Not perfect, but it executes each individual aspect of it in such a great way without taking away from the rest of the experience that I in a year or two from now I think it'll have another resurgence of hey, games you missed in 2024 and that'll be top of the list.
Yeah, that's cool. Uh, but another game on this list, Manor Lords, which is on. It was nominated twice, which got me as I went through my voting. I was like, let me try this game out. Like it's nominated twice. It's on Game Pass. I downloaded it when it released, but I never played it. Went back to it. I've put like 5-6 hours in this week into Manor Lords. It is a sim builder game where you are running a little town and you have to build it from the ground up, and it's granular enough where you are building each individual plot of land for the house to go on, and that each houses a family, and each family can go work and do stuff, so they represent one like worker, so to speak. But like if you're all out of plots, they all have to build it. You can upgrade those. You can then uh you got to worry about food. You got to worry about uh, giving your village supplies, so then they can make things to go sell at the market, and then that helps you make money for the economy. It's just such a, I don't know, it's just so good. It's in early access. There's still stuff like in the policy trees. There's like half of it's blocked off because it's in early access. They're reworking one of the tax systems, and that says it in the game. So it's like it's not out yet. It's still there, but I'm surprised that I've hopped into this and like I'm itching to keep playing it. Like as your settlement keeps growing and growing, and your town, they start in like little wood sheds with thatch roofs and whatnot, and then by the time you're upgrading each house to by level 3, they're like cobblestone and tiled roof, and it's like, ooh, this looks cool. It's all medieval looking. It's just it's such a fun little town builder. I guess that it's a city builder. I guess that's the best way of saying it. But that's like what I'm loving out of it so much is it's just kind of relaxing too. I put it on the lower difficulty just to learn it because there's a tutorial, but it's kind of as you play, it just tells you what the now do this, now do this, and whatnot. You unlock this, so this is what you do with that. And you're like, all right. But there definitely was some trial and error with it. But once you kind of clicks, it's like, oh, I see the length of this. I see what to do now and whatnot. Then you can claim other regions and you build another one. So you just keep on like growing your space as you are a lord running all these different provinces eventually. So super fun game in early access. I tried it because it was nominated, and I have very much enjoyed my time with it. So try games if you see stuff nominated, especially in the indie category. Give it a try. They're nominated for a reason. You know.
I'm assuming PC Game Pass only. This isn't on console. Okay,
Yeah, PC Game Pass only so far. I think it's on Steam as well.
cool.
I'd assume. I'm gonna pull it up just to double check.
Is there any sort of like fail state to it? Like, can you fail out or just keep going till? Because it looks like something
So,
I would mindlessly just put on for 4 hours a night before bed.
so I put it on easy to figure out the rules, like I said, and so I'm pretty sure that probably has something to do with my not losing yet. There's different modes that have different goals, like just get to a large town size. So the whole goal is just to build up to you level up to a large town. Another one is, uh, you have to defend yourself from bandits and take out the bandit camp because so you eventually can raise an army up. So there's that. But you're also managing food and fuel resources. So if you don't have enough fuel, then you can't like make gear, and then all of a sudden you can't make your food, you can't cook anything, and then you run out of food, and then people start dying, and then if you lose enough people you wouldn't be able to do anything, so then you would eventually lose. So I assume that's one fail state. Being taken out by a bunch of bandits would be another fail state. I have not hit that one yet, but again, I've 6 hours. I put it on easy to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Whatever works. Yeah, it looks like graphically gorgeous. It was like you said, one of the ones I didn't know of at all before nominations came out, but
Yeah, and it is on Steam as well for $40 early access.
there you go.
Oh yeah, this person says the Manor Lords is a gorgeous city builder with Total War style battles. I have not gotten into the battles, but if they're like Total War, oh, that takes me back to middle school. Played a ton of Total War on the middle school computers that we illegally downloaded that software onto. The software wasn't illegal. A kid brought it in and hid it in the program files.
Allegedly.
No, they did it. I don't care. They can't come get me. Come get me. They're probably still on those computers.
Perfect.
The computers are probably still there. Anyway,
Was that your
yeah.
vote for this one? Or Frostpunk 2?
For that one, no, I did go Frostpunk 2. I ended up voting Manor Lords for best indie game, debut indie game there. But no, I went with Frostpunk. I love Frostpunk. I want to put more time into it, but I was surprised by Manor Lords. So
Nice. And yeah,
Yeah.
ending that category, Unicorn Overlord, which I feel could get a secret thing. Um, this is I haven't touched it myself, but it's 13 Sentinels from a year or two ago, same developer. Very Final Fantasy Tactics ish, very Fire Emblem ish of how battles work. So that sort of gameplay style. Um,
Hmm.
we'll see. After that, best strategy. Best family game, Nintendo category, since they're not at the main one. Shocker.
yeah, Astrobot.
Astrobot, yeah.
I think Astrobot's going to run the board. It's going to run the table here.
I hope it does.
It's going to take best fighting.
I have issues with that category when we get there for the fighting game community.
Oh, that's the next one.
Is it cool? Yeah, I also Astrobot. Plucky Squire, I wish that game landed better than it did. That was one of my most anticipated going into 2024 personally. I haven't gotten around to it just from kind of how lackluster it landed, but it'll be on the backlog for next year.
Fun.
As I said, best fighting game. Gah, what a list. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero obviously deserves to be here. Great. Tekken 8, probably a lot of people forgot it came out because it was early January release 2024. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, cool. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, weird re-release, cool. Multiverses is on here though, which I've seen a lot of controversy and people talking about. Mostly because this is now the second time it's been nominated for this category. Because would it have been last year or the year before? It was also nominated in beta for best fighting and is now back again after it's officially launched. Like, okay, we're doing the 2 years in a row thing or whatever it is. Weird situation, which that's kind of a running theme this year, but I got nothing on any of these. I haven't touched a single one except Sparking Zero at work with one of my residents because he has been playing it nonstop for since it's come out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I don't play fighting games, so I got nothing.
But
Congrats, Multiverses.
for 2 times, I guess. RPG. Let's go. Dragon's Dogma 2. Shadow of the Erd Tree. See you. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And Metaphor ReFantasio. I think this is a clear win for Metaphor just for how wildly popular that game got to be when it came out and just the immediate fan base that just blew up around it. I fully see going for the future that this is like a second pillar hand in hand with Persona where there will be going back and forth with releases and just milking this for all they can because people love it. Super awesome. They're into it. They dig it. Why not?
Yeah. I think it's. I honestly think. I mean, Final Fantasy, Elden Ring, and and Metaphor are the three, and it could be any of those to me. Uh, all those make sense here. I think Final Fantasy being the least likely, but wouldn't surprise me either way. I want Metaphor to win some stuff.
I'm sure he'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
One thing with this, I'm surprised all these. There's not a single Western RPG this year. All Japanese publishers. So pick it up.
Yeah, this is where I'm surprised as well. Dragon Age isn't here or in like best action adventure game,
Mhm.
which when we get to that. But out of this list, I don't see anything drastically be like, oh yeah, that doesn't deserve to be here.
No,
So
not at all.
I get it too of how it didn't make it, given how Dragon Age landed.
It was a good year for RPGs.
Yeah.
Speaking of action adventure, Astrobot, Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. What? Surprised to see Zelda here, I guess, for action adventure, but really gets the
The
adventure
adventure,
part
yeah.
down.
Yeah, I haven't played any of these games. Especially with the recent update, I'm more intrigued now to play Star Wars Outlaws. The recent update made all the forced stealth sections optional in some way, so like that's made that game even easier now. All right, I am gonna play it at some point.
Oh, yeah, I missed
uh,
that.
and the Lost Crown. Those are the two I want to play out of this list, but I have not.
Yeah, I gave my vote to Astrobot, obviously, every category he was in. I pretty much did, just because I absolutely adore that game. Um, I honestly feel outside of Zelda, you could probably make an argument for the rest of these. Uh, Combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, Silent Hill 2 is knocks it out of the park with puzzles if they kept it how they used to, where even like changing your difficulty changes what the puzzles are and how you solve them. Prince of Persia Lost Crown, same thing, Metroidvania, puzzle solving style. So I could make a case for any one of these. Astrobot's the only one I played though, so vote went over there. Best action: Black Myth, Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Warhammer 40k.
I went Helldivers here. I think it's got to win at least once, or it's gonna just take all the categories it's in.
Yeah,
But it wouldn't surprise me Wukong getting it or Stellar Blade as well. I mean, the jiggle sells
Jiggle sells.
votes, and Stellar Blade has the jiggle, so wouldn't surprise me either.
I might have been Black Ops 6 here, just because I've had infinitely better time, more fun time with that over Helldivers. Helldivers, you and me played a handful of times way back when, and that's bad about it for me. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not surprised to see Black Myth here, but I'm surprised to see Black Myth other places. I feel like that game this year, outside of like its massive sales, in part because of where it released, I I haven't heard that much about it at all from like anybody, and it kind of like sneakily stuck in every category it possibly could have, which I mean, cool, but I wasn't expecting it to have as much representation this year as it did.
yeah. No, the conversation definitely came and went with it, but no, people played it and people liked it.
The Kyle category, VR, AR, hit us. Have you touched any of these?
I don't think I've played a VR game this year, which is a lie, but like it's been months. No, but super interested in Batman Arkham Shadow. It looks cool. I love VR for like the physical aspect of it, the Beat Saber, the cardio that comes with that, some of the different workout ones. I bought a boxing game. Oh, I gotta play that again. So you just straight up are boxing. That's fun. And that's what Batman is. So I'm down. That sounds great. But I don't think it's even on. I have a Quest 2, so I don't think I can even play it. But
No, sad days.
they got my vote out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I skipped all these. Haven't touched. Only VR game I played this year is Moss.
Nice.
Mobile game. You got anything to say on these? The only one I've touched is
No,
Pokemon.
yeah, not.
Best debut indie. your Manor Lords again. Plucky Squire, Balatro, Animal Well, Pacific Drive. This, for me, a toss-up between Animal Well and Balatro. Um, again, Animal Well, I mentioned it back when that was announced for Xbox, I think it was. Uh, First game from Video Game Donkey on YouTube, longtime YouTuber making joke videos, founded his own publishing studio. This was their first foray as an actual release, and cult classic instantly. So I'll curious to see how that stacks up against Balatro, which has been kind of the go-to game this year for mobile for indies.
Yeah, I think Balatro could easily run away. It's like Astrobot, Balatro, and I, I I think those are the only two games I think could run away with every category they're in almost. Just because they have been, they're different. They do something else, and they are huge in their own right. And now Balatro's everywhere. So
Have you touched Balatro this year?
I have it on Apple Arcade. I don't find it that fun.
Fair, fair.
So I've put in easily like an hour ish into it over the past month or two. Whenever they put it on, it's fine.
It's fine.
I just yeah, I don't care.
Balatro,
I don't
it's
think it's
fine.
that great. So I see once I could see if you got into it though, if it did click, like I see how. I see the bones of how people get caught up in it, but
Yeah,
it's just a okay game
it's
to me.
on my end, at least online, like that's kind of been the 2024 game. Like continuously since it's come out every month, constant discussions, constantly people talking about it, constantly people recommending it. Like when I think back 2024,
Yep.
Balacho's right up there on top.
Yeah. It's like all right.
Uh, Indie game again: Animal Well, Balacho, Lorelei, and the Laser Eyes, Neva, UFO 50. Haven't touched any of these. I want to get to UFO 50 at some point in time because I've seen a lot of people talk about that, but haven't touched any of these.
Yeah. Yeah, me either outside of Balatro, but I also want to get to Animal Well at some point. So, but yeah, we'll see. What a great list.
It's solid.
Like I've heard great things about all these games. I just don't like Balatro.
Get out of here with your cards. Community support: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky. I've seen some people talk about Helldivers 2 being on here. It's kind of weird because everyone's like kind of in a weird. I guess the game's in a weird point where people are waiting on content and updates, and not a lot's happened recently. So it's kind of on like a life support situation. But I gave this
Yeah,
to
I feel like
Fortnite.
I feel like the past 3 months have really hurt Helldivers, but also I think that's okay for a game that is like Helldivers to have a lull period. We are all waiting for the next big drop, the expansion, hopefully free drop of new enemies and whatnot. Uh, but yeah, I went with No Man's Sky here because it just felt like every month they had an update and like people like really enjoying the updates and them being not just like here's a thing enjoy, but like here's a couple like good sized chunks of stuff and some cool additions. Here you go. So man, No Man's Sky continues to go, and it gets me excited for their next game, Light No Fire, because them getting able to like
Oh,
start a game from to hit the ground running without it being the PR mess that was the beginning of No Man's Sky, like oof, oof, that's going to be cool. So I'm excited to see more of that with everything No Man's Sky has been doing, or whatever the studio is called.
yeah, I forgot about that new game already. That'll be interesting. Um, yeah, No Man's Sky's been nonstop. I pulled up as of September this year. There's been 35 named updates, so that game refuses to die. Uh,
Yeah,
Only thing with this category, and just because I'm a selfish bastard, I wish Sea of Thieves made it in here this year. As far as continuously growing, it has been what 7 years now of just nonstop work, and now being on other platforms, growing the community that way. They were very transparent at the beginning of the year. We talked about with their three main updates this year that were coming. All of them besides the last one, they hit on everything they were going to. Last one had a couple hiccups that they patched up, but still for a game that launched in the kind of state it originally did to completely turn itself around and make as big a community for itself as it has. I wish this would have been the year that got its got its flowers, but I'll keep championing it for next year.
Yeah.
Ongoing, same thing for Sea of Thieves. Say it here. Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, Helldivers. I got nothing in any of these besides Fortnite.
Yeah, I think Destiny 2 is in an interesting spot. They had an expansion this year that was great. Really capped off the Destiny experience in a great way for players who've played it from the beginning. And ever since then, I have not really loved everything they've shared on where they're taking the series in the future. So, uh, and I don't feel like there's any reason to keep playing. So it's weird. I'm like they were one of the best ongoing games, but I don't think they're going to remain that. I think they're going to have to change a lot to get back up there again. Like I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. So it's weird with Destiny, but yeah, we'll see. I think I went with what did I go? Well, I went with Fortnite on this one.
Yeah. Been playing the Fortnite Season 2 Reloaded. Love it. Having a good time.
Uh,
Other one with this, I wish this would have been the category I would have given a tip of the hat to World of Warcraft as well. I've nonstop talked about that game this year, and since the new expansion comes out and the reinvention and regaging player community and bringing people back, how much that's done after the kind of damage the past two expansions have done. So I wish that would have got it. Not here. Games for Impact. One of these I have touched. Tales of Kanzara Hellblade 2, Life is Strange, Double Exposure, Neva, Indica, and Closer the Distance. Have you got anything other? I think it's just
oh,
Hellblade 2 for you as well, right?
yeah, I've just played Hellblade 2. Very much enjoyed it. Love the message. Kind of understand though how it falls flat for people.
Yeah. This category for me is always kind of weird to gauge. Like, oh, this one means more than XYZ game. Like, it's a weird thing to do, but appreciate it's here. Innovation and accessibility. You got anything to add for this category?
No, I threw my vote to Dragon Age. It's the one thing it's nominated for. I don't need too many accessibility things, so I don't know too much about it. I'm privileged in that regard. Um, but I do remember seeing some conversation about Dragon Age and their accessibility, and then also just having diversity as a whole and being inclusive. That is a part of accessibility in a way. So
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. But yeah, outside of that, I can't say too much about the actual mechanical stuff of these games' accessibility features.
Yeah, that's exactly what I gave my vote to. It's because the rest of them I haven't looked into as much. Like, I feel last year was it Forza won this by like a wide margin because they was wild with what they did for accessibility. I feel like that conversation's been kind of mute this year, and not as many steps forward in general.
Yeah, yeah, or it's normalizing, but yeah,
Performance gave it to Melina Jurgens from Hellblade 2, rightfully
I
so.
did as well.
Audio design, best in-game audio, also gave this to Hellblade 2. I hope to God this gets it. Silent Hill 2, I feel, is another good one.
Oh, same. Yeah, no, the way the audio is designed to fit with the narrative and with the gameplay mechanics and how they all intermingle together, like that's top notch design right there.
Yeah. I remember the blogs they posted beforehand of all the like work they did and the kind of like s- generational steps they made for audio design to get this game done. Like wild stuff. I hope it gets this nomination. The rest of them cool. I feel like it's more kind of based off of music and not necessarily sound design because Astrobot cool, I guess. Call of Duty had the controversy you could buy like the better audio, whatever it was. So Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Get your award. Speaking of score music, again, I've only played Astrobot out of these. I'm sure they're all great.
I did listen to that Metaphor ReFantagio battle music though, so they got my vote.
Does it do it for you? Scratching that itch?
It's just something like that.
Perfect.
I have not played it, so I don't know. Best art direction. I'm reading now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm reading it through the stream. That's not going to go well. Go for it.
Yeah, Astrobot, Black Myth again, Elden Ring, Metaphor, Neva. I gave it out to Astrobot again. The only one of these I've played. I've played base Elden Ring this year, but not enough to have any sort of opinion.
Yeah, I gave it to Elden Ring. Elden Ring's so pretty.
Have you gotten to Erdtree stuff?
I've touched it on one character.
Okay.
Not in depth anymore.
Best narrative, storytelling, narrative developments, Final Fantasy VII, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, Fantasio, Hellblade, and Silent Hill 2. Again, because I'm greedy, even though I've infinitely liked the previous entry more in almost every way, I gave this to Infinite Wealth. The story is still super strong, super emotional, still had me invested in every single character I came across. Um, I just feel it didn't quite hit the peaks that Yakuza Like a Dragon did, or have me as emotionally invested. I did not shed a tear during this game, while the last one I was weeping at times. Which is wild, because you weep and then you immediately go fight a bunch of gangsters dressed up as babies who like to be held and bottled. But Japanese games.
Game's weird as hell.
It's great.
Yeah, I went with Hellblade 2 on this one, knowing that like the narrative's not going to work for everyone, but for me, like the narrative did hit. I do enjoy what they were telling, the story from 1 to 2, and the difference of Senua in 2 being like kind of solving her shit, and then recognizing how she then now can help others, and how that how you have to get over yourself and not let yourself tear yourself down and keep yourself back just to help others, and like it's not your fault for shit. It's definitely a meta narrative game that was a art piece for sure. But yeah, I just truly love Hellblade 2 in a wide way. So they got my vote here.
Yeah, I think Hellblade 2, no matter what this year, will kind of always be like a special place for me. Um, just because like for us, what we do here, it was kind of the first big game that we both get on day one, both kind of did reviews on, both were able to talk about. Like that was kind of a big staple focal point for us this year. So in my heart, nostalgia.
Yeah, it's one of the games that made me cry this year.
I'm weeping.
I was like, oh.
uh,
No, it wasn't weeping.
Game direction, outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. This is always a weird one for me to kind of think about and what should get it. Astrobot, Balatro, Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Rebirth, and Metaphor. Again, default gave to Astrobot only when I've played. Um, you can make a case for the creative vision part for all of these, I feel. It just kind of becomes more of the popular choice and popular vote by people.
Yeah, I always find this category, best game direction and game of the year, so they're always identical almost the uh in the nominees as well most of the time, outside of one or two maybe. But also it just feels like game direction feels like explain your work on why, and then game of the year is just like what did you like? Like as I think about it, that's just kind of where I end up on what this actually means. But to me, I gave it to Astrobot just because it seemed like I haven't played it, but it seems like the way they were able to like do what they already have done, what they already kind of did in the first Astrobot game, and just like, but they did it different and better, but basically while still keeping the heart of Astrobot there is super cool. And they took what it was visually a tech demo or like literally a tech demo for the PlayStation 5 and stuff. And now they've fully cemented it as an IP that is PlayStation, and they'll probably abandon it going forward. But for now, this is their little platforming mascot that's here to stay. But yeah, this game cemented that, it seems. So, and again, being like PlayStation branded and having the IP within there, like that takes design and innovation. So you got my vote there.
They had our Destiny boy in there. I had to send you a picture of in the last DLC that came out.
Yes, Cade. You did send me Cade with his chicken friend. He has a chicken as a pet.
Yeah, did not know. I'm
Maybe lover,
oh,
but it's not weird. He's a robot.
okay. I'm if we go over next week, kind of like predictions of what we see from Game Awards. I'm curious to see what Astrobot comes up with. Um, the DLC they announced, the speedrun stuff, is all final now. That Destiny 1 was the last. Um,
Okay.
there is still credited IPs and games and companies in the credits that have not seen any representation yet. So I'm curious to see what further they do with it, or if there is any more at all, or they're just kind of covering bases. So hopefully we get something on that on the 12th. And the big one,
Yeah.
Game of the Year, Astrobot
DLC of the
DLC
year.
of the Year, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong. Again, I was so shocked. Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantasio. I gave my vote to Astrobot.
Spoiler.
Yeah. I hope it's been a weird category. There's a lot of to talk about with this kind of going to later, but you get
Oh. Yeah. I gave it to Astrobot as well. Just I don't know. I didn't have strong opinions on this category, honestly, with only having played Balatro, and I didn't like Balatro, so
yeah.
that's where and a little bit of Shadow of the Erdtree, but I don't think it already won something. So, uh, so yeah. So should DLC be in this category? Let's
Full on. Yeah, it's the weird thing
tell
because
me.
they had the update like a day or two before the nominees came out, where they kind of updated their rules, whatever, to get people ready for this. Jeff, the cheeky bastard, in the announcement video before announcing these nominees, had to remind people, "I'm not part of the group that decides this. I'm just here."
Yeah, well, it's because other people do hound him for
Yeah,
that though, and it's like he's not. It's not how it works.
yeah. No, my immediate thought was I'm not a fan of this. I feel like it takes a lot away from other stuff that did actually release this year. It takes the representation off of a 2024 game. The on the same breath though, I've mentioned we've talked before and we do our top 10 stuff like I have stuff from a year ago. I have stuff from 2 years ago. But that's my personal opinion and not a business ran representation of the industry, which I put forward a question online, which someone corrected me on. I almost, if Game Awards going forward, if this was voted on by developers, if this was voted on by studios and not by reviewers, if the reaction to Erdtree being here would have been as strong. But then someone corrected me, and I guess Dice Awards, that's how they do their voting, is by industry people, so they already got that covered. It's just weird. It opens up more questions going forward. I wish next year um that they just add a DLC category. If they add an update sort of category, going back to um oh god, where's that best fighting game? Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection should have been in that as well. Like, not to force more categories in here that need to be, but I think some things need to be more defined. Because if we're adding Erdtree in here, why wasn't Phantom Liberty on this last year? When that I feel is more deserving than Erdtree, even because that did fully kind of turn around Cyberpunk, kind of switch the messaging on that game, bring the eyes back to something that didn't quite land as hard, but made it a must play experience. Like, if we're doing that, I feel Phantom Liberty should have been here, but to each their own.
Yeah, which I do feel like we will probably see another category, it being best DLC, best expansion, probably best DLC slash remaster slash expansion. I don't know how you name that, but those three things you can fill out a category of 6 games every year because you're not going to get a remaster every year that is. You won't get more like you'll get one probably every year that could be a nominee, but maybe you won't get any more than that. So if you fill it out with stuff like best expansion for games like Destiny and Diablo, right? Like there are games that come out every year with an expansion or aim to, and you can just have that fold into that category. Any DLC that's an expansion, right? That folds into that category. That makes sense. And then you avoid this little problem with it. But I do just expect we'll get a different category, which can encompass that. Elden Ring, like specifically, is interesting because I think you can make an argument that a DLC can be nominated. In the case of Elden Ring, and even a little with Phantom Liberty, it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year though. It was Best Ongoing Game, I think, last year, if I remember. Um, but both of those games, Elden Ring and Cyberpunk, to get to those DLCs, at minimum 30 hours, with Elden Ring being even longer. Like you had to basically beat the game for all intensive purposes to then get into the DLC. So I get the argument then of it being like, well, a game that requires you to play the game from 2 years ago can't be nominated, right? It's not a sequel. It's not like I can watch the events of Elden Ring and then be caught up to go into the DLC. It's like, no, I still have to literally play this big game. And if I haven't, then I mean, hey, cool. If you haven't played Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree and it's nominated and you're like, I am now going to play that, you have you got a big ass game with a DLC to play. That's awesome, I guess. But that's where I can also understand the issue of it being like, you have to beat the game to basically get to the DLC.
Mm.
How it requires a whole other game to be played to play a game of the year potentially. I get that. So that's why I see it eventually getting its own category. I just don't think there's a place to put something like Elden Ring. There wasn't a place to put something like Phantom Liberty. That's why it went into the category it was in last year. That's why this Erdtree is in Game of the Year. There's no other place for it. It's why um, Silent Hill 2 remake is in the category and categories it is in, right? There's nothing definitive for those type of games, right? So I feel like a DLC slash remaster category is the best thing because a remaster is an expansion of what the game was from before. So it could just be the best expansion. And it's like games that have been remastered to expand upon their original creative vision or games that have added with downloadable content. There you go, Jeff. I wrote it for you. So we'll see. That's how I feel. I don't think it's that big a deal
No.
because the rules are there. It's fun conversation. But the people taking it seriously, calm down. Fuck. Like shit.
It's video games.
Like we can have a conversation. That's fun. I love a debate, but damn. But yeah, so I don't think it ultimately matters. What other game would have been like? Is there? I don't think there's a game this year that cries out like, "Fuck!" Really, like that missed out on Game of the Year. At that point, you have like 12 to 25 other games that fit that of what could be in 2024 Game of the Year. If you take out Erdtree, right? Like
Yeah.
Dragon Age, but there's a lot of issues with Dragon Age. One of the Animal Well, UFO 50, Lost Crown. Like then you get into making arguments for everything, but there's no true game that I feel like would be missing. But if Erdtree was missing, I feel like that is felt. So, because then it would have had like only one nominee, which is fine.
Yeah, if we do go with remake, remaster, DLC categories, it's almost funny because at the same time the people are solely focusing on Erdtree fitting in that category and taking up a spot. Technically, there's another one right beside it on the list of another remake that is also nominated for
Yeah,
Game of the Year that people just, oh, it's different. It's Final Fantasy. It's got a new name, and it's a
50 hours longer.
yeah, it's a further step up from a remake, but it still fits in that weird kind of like when you think about it, like, oh yeah, it is just a remake, I guess, of a part of a game. Not even a full game, a part of a game.
Yeah.
This is
But see, there you go. That would not be game of the year conversation then.
yeah,
That means Final Fantasy. No, I then you'd get into that conversation because it's not a remake, it's not a remaster. It is a reimagining, it is a rebirthing of
gross.
what Final Fantasy 7 is.
Hate it.
But yeah, no, technically, yeah, that that is true.
Um, for you, I did look back. Yeah, last year, Cyberpunk, uh, Phantom Liberty was for community support nominated, and it won Best Ongoing. So
Okay,
should we did was
I got two.
yeah was Shadow of the Erdtree and Best Ongoing this year? Should have been in there
No,
then.
but it's not an ongoing game.
Neither is Cyberpunk.
Neither was exactly, but they had nowhere else to put it. That's the thing. I just we get best ongoing and best community support makes sense. No, but I feel like you also could just do a DLC remaster expansion.
Yeah,
But how often are we going to get an Elden Ring style expansion where it's game of the year quality? Like, what other games have that? Sure, Phantom Liberty made Cyberpunk better, like, but the expansion was probably on par story wise with what was already in Cyberpunk, right? It just added a different kind of. It went with the the more Mission Impossible spy stuff. Uh, but other than that, it was still Cyberpunk, right? Like, what other game added something in the past decade? Witcher, their expansions were game of the year quality, probably.
but even like going that route, like Erdtree is just more Elden Ring. Like, oh, you get a new zone and more bosses. Like, they didn't really add like you get new weapons, I guess, but like fundamentally, it didn't really add much new.
Well, no, you had to level up by the just the Skidoo tree fragments.
Oh,
It's a whole new leveling system, a whole new boss, a whole new area.
it gets messy. It,
No, I hear you. I guess what I'm arguing here is that like I don't think there's enough cases of a DLC or expansion dealing a, another game spot of that year. That doesn't happen often enough for it to be an issue.
no,
We just have we have two cases this year with Elden Ring and last year with Cyberpunk, but they're not even in the same category. So I think if anything, again, it's evidence to maybe create another category, and that's it. And it's on the argue and talk.
yeah. No, I hope they do, especially even on the remaster side of things, like with those becoming. It's been a meme that like, oh, companies are just doing remasters all the time, but like financially now it's kind of a thing people need to do to kind of keep money flowing in. Like with that becoming a larger part, I hope that gets representation. Um, and yeah, overall it opens the door for stuff like I mentioned World of Warcraft. Like that's gotten th- three expansions the past X amount of years that like don't get nominated, don't get love, don't get anything. Not that they deserved it besides the last one, but all the Final Fantasy um 14 DLCs, that's gotten a ton, but it's always just kind of blanketed under Final Fantasy 14 and nothing else. So there's places for it. I'm interested to see what changes from this because Jeff is as much as people give him shit, he is always online looking for feedback, does his polls, wants to get people's um feedback on what he's doing, and obviously this isn't something that's going to go by the wayside this year because it's been vocal everything he posts. So I'm interested to see what he does with it.
Yeah, should be an interest. It's an interesting year. That's for sure. That's for sure. So
3 weeks to go.
we will see.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Excited. I'm ready for some announcements. I'm ready. It's been a while. We had our showcases, but like that many in one night. I want to see what happened to Wonder Woman. I want to see what happened the next game from the Thirsty Suitors team that they announced. Like I'm ready for some announcements. Ready for some celebration.
Yeah. Well, the season's kind of over now, right? Like we have Indiana Jones later this not later this month, but almost. But in December we have Indy. After that, that's kind of it, right? Like that's the next big thing, and so the year's kind of done. It's the releases are out. You just get to play them now. So what's next? Game Awards. What do you got, Jeff? Show us the Switch 2.
God.
What a moment. And one more thing. Sorry, Astrobot. I know you won Game of the Year. Congrats, Balatro, you small little indie. You just won Game of the Year. Get off the stage. We got Nintendo with the Switch 2.
And then he comes back out. He's like, one more thing. We got the next Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, and I'm going wild.
And one more. He does it 10 times because it's the 10th anniversary.
Oh, God.
Yep. Yep. So
Everyone
there's
in
going to
the
be some
crowd's
shitty ones in the
having
middle.
heart attacks, just freaking out.
By the sixth one, people leave
By the sixth one, he
to
has
get snacks. They get snacks for the eighth one. It's like seventh inning stretch.
no. By the sixth one, he invites the kid who stormed the stage the 1 year to come up and start announcing him like everyone's here on it.
It'd be hilarious if he invited the kid back to say something. That would just be amazing trolling. It's just that's great. Kid's like, I'm reformed. Jeff's changed my life.
I have seen the Erdtree.
I'm here to read off Game of the Year nominees. Bill Clinton. All right, we're just rambling off
gone.
at the end of this now.
We'll be back next week after Thanksgiving. Anyone who's watching, have a good week with the family. Hopefully, get some game times in. We'll be back next week with maybe a normal episode. Maybe we begin our spoiler year in review stuff. Who knows? We got some good stuff coming for the last episodes of the year. Hope you all join us on that. You can find us each and every Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, twitch.tv/Badlands Backlogs with a new fancy logo on there. Have fun. Kyle streaming on twitch.tv/KyleTheFish30. Excuse me, sorry. Hopefully finishing Dragon Age this week.
Yes, hopefully.
Can't wait.
But probably more Manor Lords.
Hey, I'm down to watch some of that. We'll catch you all next week. Have a good holiday season.
Bye.